Climate restoration. What is it, and why does the world need it? Let's start from where the world finds itself now. Net zero. A concept achieved when carbon dioxide emissions are balanced out by carbon removal or by simply eliminating carbon emissions altogether. This is the approach of the majority of the world today in attempts to limit the effects of global warming. In principle, this sounds like a job done. Mission accomplished. Climate crisis resolved. Whilst achieving net zero may end all carbon emission, it does not end the problem. Net zero puts a halt to increasing and intensifying climate-related catastrophe. However, it doesn't deal with the devastating problems that millions across the world are already experiencing, as carbon produced prior to net zero will remain within our atmosphere and continue to cause the same problems. The Paris Agreement, adopted by 195 nations in 2015, led to a global pursuit to limit temperature rise above pre-industrial levels to well below 2 degrees Celsius, and further efforts were agreed with the intention to not exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius, an attempt to minimise the impacts of climate change. This would require achieving net zero by 2050. In reality, this target is hugely optimistic, given the direction all major economies are currently headed. Under current policy and rate of international governmental action on undertaking large-scale mitigation projects, warming is expected to reach 2.8 to 3.2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. A rise which will be catastrophic for human sustainability and biodiversity. Whilst possible in principle, the target of 1.5 degrees is simply exceptionally improbable. Such scenarios generally depend on everything going just right. Every policy is passed unanimously, every technology is meticulously successful, and climate sensitivity falls within the lower end of scientific estimates. The world has never seen the scale of unified mobilisation required to achieve net zero by 2050, requiring immediate restructuring of global industry and economy. So, to lay it out simply, achieving net zero in time to avoid complete catastrophe is unfortunately fairly unrealistic considering the current rate of governmental action regarding the climate crisis. But it's also not good enough, allowing for the continuation of climate-related tragedies and devastation that millions face today. The world needs to change its approach to support a vision that is daring but achievable and desirable. An approach that not only achieves net zero before it's too late, that not only avoids catastrophe, but actively improves the climate that we live in. An approach that appeals to our economically driven societies by providing new infrastructure and industry to drive the economy in place of outdated fossil fuels, and mobilise a global response. What if we begin to remove carbon from the atmosphere at a rate and scale that exceeds net zero, achieving a carbon negative atmosphere through the combined efforts of mitigation and removal, actively bettering the state of the climate, avoiding masses of suffering and death, and averting what was a global emergency into a new opportunity to create a world that sustainably thrives within a new green economy and a safe climate. This concept is known as climate restoration. Climate restoration is no simple undertaking. It requires the birth of a new global green industrial revolution, the support of both government and pre-existing large industry, as well as lucrative international cooperation. However, The global undertaking of climate restoration is an imperative decision that the world must make. It's the only way to ensure a safe climate and achieve climate justice.